Hey guys, welcome to this week of online learning. Hope you had a great weekend and enjoyed the beautiful weather and had a great time celebrating, hopefully with your mom for Mother's Day. I wanted to let you know about something important. The new book, the prequel in the Hunger Games, Catching Fire. We just finished that book. The prequel is coming out May 19th, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And I know that most libraries, including our library, Mr. Coker said it won't be available until probably summer, but there may be some pickup that will be able to happen. And so if you go to the link that I'm going to share on Canvas, you can reserve any book or movie that you want. So please watch that quick video. Mr. Coker shows how you can reserve things that you can get picked up from the school, and he's hoping within the next few weeks that'll be available. All right, so let's get into our lesson. We finished up our poetry unit last week, and we're going to be starting on our literary analysis. So that's basically the idea is just thinking about the way authors write movies and write screenplays for movies and or poetry, short stories, and novels, how and why they're written. That's like analyzing, so that's analysis. So what we want to think about first is we're going to think a little bit about fiction, and we are going to do this for a few weeks, talking about fiction and nonfiction, kind of taking us towards the end of this school year. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do literary analysis of fiction, which is movies, short stories, poems, and novels. And we love fiction because it always involves some type of conflict and then a resolution. And that is what makes a good story. And as we've talked about all year, we know that no movie happens without a screenplay or a script, and that often, such as in our whole Hunger Games series, and in fact, everything that we read about, almost everything had a movie or a little short story clip that went with it. All right, so there are 7 main types of conflict that are found in fiction. And conflict always involves a protagonist, and that's our main character, and then the antagonist, which is not always a person. It's sometimes just who the struggle is with, but it can be something, it can be a what as well. It can be a thing that there is a struggle against. So let's go ahead and get into the 7 types of conflict. The first one is person versus self. And that is like our personal conflicts. You know, who talks to us the most? And it's ourselves. And so one of the stories, I'm going to give you an example of each type of conflict from what we've read this year or from movies and types of movies that are out there. One short story that we read in the fall was about a boy, Jerry, who was struggling internal conflict about being able to swim through that underwater tunnel. So remember our through the tunnel story, he pushed and pushed himself until he mastered his goal of being able to do something those older boys were doing, and he wanted to do it as well. So that is a great example of person versus self conflict. The next one is person versus God or fate, and of course that struggle is when it's with a superpower, such as in Greek mythology, when it is a battle with God himself. And then you also have fate, which is like Groundhog Day, just a whole bunch of bad luck that a person is fighting against. The next type of conflict is person versus person. This is a common theme in many movies. and stories that we read. So like detective movies are a great example, war movies, romance movies. There can be a lot of other, these themes, remember, can intertwine. There can be a main theme and then underlying themes, because we know that all the way through any movie, there could be a person versus themselves, like an internal conflict. All right, and then we have person versus supernatural. This sometimes is considered the same one as the person versus God or fate, but person versus supernatural is often more of our superhuman powers, such as Superman type movies, any of the Defenders, any of the superhero movies fall into this category. Again, mythology can kind of be like that, so there is a little bit of overlap between number 2 and number 4. The fifth type is person versus society, and this is any type of rebellion, such as our whole Hunger Games series, which was the dystopian society. We also see that in movies such as Divergent. And there is a movie that I think maybe some of you have seen, Fahrenheit 451, that depicts a dystopian society where books are banned and they're burned, and that's the title, and that's, I've heard, a pretty good movie. I haven't seen that one. The next type of conflict is person versus technology. Most science fiction type movies can fall into this genre. Man versus the machine is kind of the way they sometimes say that. And then the seventh type of conflict is person versus nature. And this is standing against the forces of nature, surviving the forces of nature. And we also see this a lot of times in actual documentaries of people who have climbed, mountain climbers, and those who've gone to Antarctica and survived harsh conditions. So we see that person versus nature theme. All right, and so what your job will be, your assignment is going to be to watch the Life of Pi trailer, and the link is also going to be, of course, in Canvas, and then use the Google document to answer the questions about what conflict you see. And I'm actually going to give you the conflicts there, and then you just need to tell us why you chose your answers, and then you're going to submit those. So one thing I wanted to say as we look at our template here for analyzing fiction. All right, so this will be what you should open, and right here, if you notice, it says template for the Life of Pi, and I just want to make sure that everybody, I've noticed that sometimes people don't make a copy. So I know that we've talked about this before, but really important, be sure to go to make a copy and then put your name on it. So I put the title, and before the title of our assignment, I put a name slot right there, just as a reminder that if you don't make a copy, everybody will see yours will look, yours becomes the one that everybody's using. So be sure that you make a copy and then put your own name up here instead of the word template, and take out template 4. So just put your name. So it would be like, for me, Mendenhall Life of Pi Conflict is going to be the name of this assignment. And then you can go ahead, put your name here. That's, if I'd like to see it there too, but not essential. And then we can read through this. So we're going to quickly read through this. After you watch the trailer, as you know, an important part of most stories is conflict. The conflict can be between two characters, a character and himself, or even a character and their environment. In the trailer, we can see two conflicts that appear to be important to the plot of this movie: people versus nature, and person versus nature, and person versus self. So your job after watching the trailer, which conflict do you think is most important? Person versus nature or person versus self? If you pick person versus nature, what are 3 reasons you chose that as the most important conflict? And then please use complete sentences. And then if you pick person versus self, what are 3 reasons you chose that as the most important conflict? And use complete sentences. So I should see 3 complete sentences of, explaining why you chose that conflict as most important. We're going to continue to go back to these conflicts as we analyze fiction and analyze mostly different movie ideas and themes and some literature in the next few weeks. So it was great connecting with you guys. I know I've also been able to call home and chat with some of you and set up some meets, but if you need any help, be sure to reach out, send emails. You know I'm trying to respond pretty quickly, and so just hoping that things are going well for you and you have a great week. It was, I wish we could see each other in person, but it's good we have all this technology. All right, you guys take care. Bye-bye.